Nicholls, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about her journey, where God has taken her. It's been a deep journey. We've got a short period right now before we started of Merna just taking me back, but she's going to be sharing everything right now with you. So please do go to Facebook, and get us there. We are live on Facebook on Radio K Pulpit's Facebook page. Just in case you're listening on our website, you can go and look at Merna. She looks beautiful. She's ready for tonight's show. Merna, welcome to Radio K Pulpit. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and yourself?
Thank you so much. I am really glad you're here. It's such a privilege and an honor. And like I said to you earlier, I didn't think that you were going to make it because you've got a show to prepare for tonight. But here you are. So we are so grateful to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So, Merna, take us through growing up in a home that was filled with music. And when did you first realize that this is something more than just a passion? This is a purpose.
So for me, growing up in a household of two brothers and a dad, my mom passed away when I was a baby, so I never knew my mom, and I think that my music journey is greatly linked to not having grown up with my mom. My brothers have always told me that my mom was very into the arts and she was very into theater and music. And they always say that all the passion and love that I have for the arts and music, I get from her. So I kind of feel like that was always a connection that I had with her that I never had in the physical person. So my mom had an LP player with LPs. So Sundays, I grew up in a very sporting household. So my dad studied sports science. My middle brother studied sports science. My eldest brother is an electrical engineer. And here I come, the artistic one. I'm into music and theater. And yes, the black sheep. And so on weekends, while they'll watch the game and sit and watch sport, I would go sit in the lounge and I would listen to my mom's LPs. And some of the first LPs that I remember listening to is Randy Crawford, because that was one of my mom's favorite artists. So she had ample Randy Crawford LPs. And then, of course, local Mango Groove. That was one of her favorite local bands. So Mango Groove was like, it was part of my weekly journey. And music was a way of expressing myself. I think it was a way of always just expressing and kind of the longingness of wishing that my mom was there. And it was my connection to my mom. And because I could never as a child really verbalize that longing or that missing of my mom. But music was part of my life. We grew up in the Cape Coons, the Kaapse Klopse, as we say here in Cape Town. So that was a big part also. My eldest brother was on the banjo and the guitar. My middle brother was on the guma. So the sounds of music was really part of our household. And of course, church played an important role. We would always sing hymns in the house, even with my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents for the first part of my life. And even with my grandparents, my grandmom taught me most of the hymns that I know was taught to me by my grandmother. So music and especially singing was a very big part of my life growing up. And I always tell people that music is something that I didn't choose. It's something that chose me, because I never considered any other career other than music. I always knew that music is what I wanted to do. So whenever people ask me, oh, when did you know or how did you know? I always say it's so difficult because I just knew. It was something that was placed on my life. It was something that was placed in my heart, and I just followed the calling.
So powerful. You knew. I love that, something like that connection that you speak about to your mom came through music, and where you are now. I feel like it is a dream that is being lived, that it was her dream,
Yes.
And you now living that. So beautiful. You've been trained both classically and jazz, and in classical and in jazz music. So how do you then blend the two worlds together within your sound?
So being classically trained, it's actually two different worlds. Like being in the classical fraternity, it teaches you a lot of discipline. in terms of there's guidelines, there's rules and regulations, where jazz is more about freedom and expression, something that you don't really find in classical music. And the transition at first was very difficult, because having to go from where you have to follow the rule book and the guidelines and going into a space that's much more expressive and free
Yeah.
was a difficult transition, because I had to learn to let go again. And but I also had to learn to grow content with my identity as a classical singer, but as well as a jazz singer, and how to merge those two. And one of the key figures that really inspired me in merging those two worlds was none other than the late Sibongile Kumalo. Because as an opera singer, she later became this phenomenal jazz vocalist in her career, and she really inspired me that it is possible. You can do it, that you don't have to fixate yourself into one category of genre in music. And having to blend my two genres, I had to learn to grow confident and content with my identity as being both classically trained, but also jazz, and producing that in the sound of who Merna Nicholls is.
So beautiful. I love that you've also taken from, the people that have gone before you, and looked at their journeys and
Yes.
seen the possibility for you. Now, you started in political sciences in terms of studies before pursuing music. What inspired the big shift, and how was that handled, within the household, from political scientist to jazz, classically trained musician? What is going on here?
So I think for most of us that ever wanted to pursue an artistic career, whether it's music, dance, drama, whatever it is, our parents, for them, they don't understand, what do you mean this is what you want to do for the rest of your life? And my dad was like no other. My dad simply just told me that, girl, this is not what you're going to do. How are you going to sustain yourself? How are you going to make a living? And hence I ended up studying political science, because I've always had a love for history and politics. So I was like, oh, well, if I need to do something other than music, this is what I'm going to do. But when I was done with pol sciences, I told my dad, I said, okay, I've done what you wanted, Dad. Now I'm going to do what I know I need to do and want to do. So without my dad actually knowing, I applied to the University of Pretoria to go study music. So my dad had no idea that I even
Wow.
applied to universities outside of Cape Town. So my brother lived in Pretoria at the time, and he had to go to a conference in Scotland, and he asked me to come and stay with his wife in Pretoria at that time while he was away. And I then scheduled my audition at the university for that time when I was in Pretoria.
Sneaky.
And so I only told my brother, I said, hey, I will come through, but I've got my audition also. So I arranged my audition and everything. And when I returned back to Cape Town, the university got back to me and told me, you've been accepted for BMA studies. And that was September, and I needed to be in Pretoria in January. So end of September, I told my dad, I said, well, I have gotten my official confirmation that I'm going to Pretoria. I've been accepted for BMA studies, and this is what I'm going to do. My dad wasn't very impressed. He was not very impressed. He did
Yo.
everything in his power to completely dismiss and not speak about this at all. Also, like, I had to arrange my own transport. I had to arrange my own arrangements and everything. I stayed in a commune for my first couple of years of studies.
Yeah.
And my dad wasn't part of it, because in his mind, it was kind of like, well, if I'm not going to pay attention to this, it's not
Doesn't
a reality.
exist.
Exactly. It doesn't exist. And I remember in January when I had to go, my eldest brother came to pick me up at home. I still took a bus down to Pretoria. My eldest brother came to pick me up to go drop me at the bus station. And my dad was just, he was not having
Not
it. He
bothered.
was just like, okay, this is what you're doing. I don't agree. I'm not happy,
Yeah.
but this is what you're doing. So the first couple of years were tough. My dad firmly believed that I left him, that I deserted him, and that I deserted the family for leaving Cape Town. But I knew this is something that I had to do, and I'm so grateful that I followed my heart and that I listened to the voice of God, because that was the start of my journey. That was the start of a journey that I never thought I would get to live.
Sure. Defying all odds and defying parents for what God has laid in your heart. That is a bold move, hey? That is a bold move. Now, as someone that has taught and mentored many young people and young musicians, what advice do you then give to those hoping to break into the industry and that may be feeling the way you felt back then, where you had to, yes, be the prodigal daughter, and yeah, be shunned away from the family for what God has, gifted you with. So tell us about that.
So I always try and inspire my students by exposing them to things that I wish I was exposed to when I was their age. And I'm fortunate to work with high schoolers that is in that phase where they are figuring out what they want in their future, what they want in life, and especially in my music class where I teach my music students, I really try and inspire them and expose them to the industry, because there's still this gap between having to study music and how do you get into the industry.
Yes.
Nobody really gives you those tools. Nobody really gives you the map of how do you transition from, okay, I've got my degree or my qualification now. How do I
Now
get
what?
into the performing fraternity? How do I do this? And I really try and expose my students to the industry as much as possible. And I think for me, in my current grade 12 group, I've got students that none of them even thought of studying music. They were all going to become mechanical engineers and become doctors and all those things.
Wow.
And I pride myself to have worked with two students and walk a journey with their parents as well, to make their parents actually understand that this child was called to do this. I mean, like when this child steps onto a stage, it's their way of communicating to the world. It's their way of expressing. And I pride myself to have two students that actually applied to UCT to go study jazz studies
Oh
at
my
UCT
God.
next year. So I'm
Goosebumps.
super excited about that. The one actually, when I met the student, was going to do mechanical engineering, and now we went all the way from mechanical engineering to going and studying BMUS at UCT. And then I've got another student that actually don't take music as a subject, but ended up becoming the drummer in our jazz band at school. And to see the growth and the passion in this particular student, and they just had their auditions last week Saturday, and I cannot wait for their journeys to start as music students. It is absolutely amazing.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I want to follow the story now. I'm so invested. Wow. It's beautiful when it comes full circle,
Yes.
that what you've been trained in, what you're giving back now, you pretty much, giving it back and saying, come on, here's the baton, move forward with it as well.
And that is
the
so
same as
important.
I did, but obviously in a different way, like you're saying, helping them know certain things that you didn't know back then. Sure, such a beautiful moment. So you've just completed your doctorate in music education. Congratulations,
Yes,
by the way.
Thank you.
What does this milestone mean for you personally?
Sure. I've been telling people that I don't think it's sunken in yet.
Wow.
It's not really sunken in. It's something I never dreamt of being an academic or being in the academic space. And in my dedication in my doctorate, I dedicated this to a couple of people, but the last dedication I dedicated to the 7-year-old Merna Nicholls, and I was very particular with that, because in the primary school that I found myself, my teachers back then told me, you are not going to make it in this industry of music. They told me that stop coming for auditions, stop coming and trying for our projects or for our performances. We are not going to choose you. And my social background and the color of my skin was made something to keep me out of spaces. And that 7-year-old Merna was fueled by that. And those words, as much as those words were meant to be something negative, it turned into something that fueled me to be where I am today. So when I think of my doctorate is something that, and I think I've not quite really realized, or it's not sunken in yet, because I think I'm also still just a bit overwhelmed in the moment, because I myself subconsciously never thought that it would be able, or that I would be able to do it. And for me, this doctorate is something that I truly owe to God, because again, just being faithful to the plan that God had for me and still has for me, and just allowing him to be the writer of my story and letting go of whatever else people around me said, for me, this is a monumental moment because I always thought my brothers would get their doctorates first because we were all busy with our doctorates, and I never thought that I would be the first one. And having to be the first one in the family to have a doctorate, having to be the youngest, I'm the youngest sibling, so being the youngest to get this, to come from where I was told to say that you are not going to make it, that you don't have a space and a place in this industry, and to finally have this moment. It is such a big and overwhelming moment that I myself don't know how to process it, because it's kind of like, is this real? Is this really real? But it's really every day a moment when someone refers to me as doctor, or I see the title doctor on a document or something, it's really just saying, thank you, God, for being faithful in your promises. Thank you that you truly know the plans that you have for me, despite whatever man says. I know that you've got great plans for me, and I will continue to follow your voice and your journey that you have for me. So it's truly a big moment, something that I'm not really fully grasping, but hopefully soon, when I have my graduation on the 9th of December, hopefully when I'm wearing that red cloak, I think I will then fully embrace Dr. Merna Nicholls.
Wow, sure, what a milestone. And again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It took
Thank
obviously a lot of sacrifice, dedication, but here you are, you did it.
Yes.
Yeah, and it means so much, as you have already relayed to you. You've already relayed to us. So, your debut album, what can listeners expect from the upcoming music? Tell us about your debut album, and then what can we expect from your upcoming music?
So the debut album, it's something that I've always wanted to work on, and having been in the academic field for so long and out of the performance world, it was kind of like something very, very daunting, the thought of it, and having to be in the performance field. Because we've got one of the richest jazz environments in the world, not like only in the country, but in the world. And I was just so blessed and so privileged to have met the most amazing people within the jazz fraternity that kind of just stretched out a hand and said, hey, let's be there for you, let's help you, let's help concept, let's help build this idea. And so the whole idea of this debut album was really me introducing myself back into the performance world, and really introducing myself in the context of merging my two worlds of being classically but jazz trained, and kind of merging those two worlds, but also using influence from other genres that's also influenced my sound and my liking in music. So this album is really a introduction of who's Merna Nicholls, where I come from, but also my story of, and my journey in healing, my journey in looking into the future, and my aspirations that I have for myself as an artist in this space. So it's something that is really exciting, that I can't wait for the world to hear, because it's really just me putting my heart out there and saying, this is who I am, come on this journey with me. So I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
So special. Now, you call yourself a late bloomer. What message do you want to share with others that feel as if it's too late? I've been delayed and I can't chase my dreams.
You know what? It's such a cliche, but it's never too late. It's never too late. I think in our human nature, we place boundaries and barriers on ourselves in our journeys, and we think, but you know what, I'm too old, or I don't fit into that space anymore, or I don't have that sound, I don't sound like this, I don't do things that way. But for me, I refer to myself as a late bloomer because, like I said, I've always known that music was my thing. And in the beginning phases, I was so upset with God, and I was so resentful towards him, because I was like, but God, you've placed this journey on my life, but yet now you're taking me through all these back routes and via turns and all these things. So what's happening? Like, you placed this calling on my life, but now you're taking me further away from what it is that I need to do. And my dad actually always used to say that he calls me Lovey Blue, and he always used to say, Lovey Blue, when God starts opening doors, you need to be ready. And I never really paid attention to what I never really understood the gravity of what he meant. because I would always be so upset if things didn't work out. And he always used to the only thing he would always tell me if things didn't work out, he would just say, Lovey Blue, when God starts opening doors, just be ready. And I'll just be like, but Daddy, that's not what I want to hear now. That's not what I don't.
I want the door to open now.
The door must open now. And literally in the past 6 months, doors have opened that in my wildest dreams I would have never thought would open. Pathways have come my way that I've never thought would come, at least not now. Pathways that I wished I had 10, 15 years ago. And God just said, but no, this is the time. And my grandmother always used to say, Merna, God doesn't say your time, he says my time. And this for me is such a testament period of just being patient and allowing God to do what he needs to do, because he will reveal unto you what you need to do. And having all these opportunities coming now is extremely overwhelming. And in the back of my mind, all I can hear is my dad's words saying that when doors open, make sure you are ready. And I am so ready because God has prepped me over the last 10, 15 years for what he's giving to me now. And being a late bloomer, I don't see it as a negative thing. I see it as a journey of gratitude,
Sure.
a journey of growth, a journey of patience, and I embrace it. And I would like to encourage whomever else is out there that thought, you know what, it's too late. It's never too late. Just hold on to the promise that God has for you and keep on believing. Just never give up. If you continue to believe in yourself, opportunities will find their way to you.
Wow. I don't know about you, family of Cape Pulpit, but I'm so inspired by Merna's story. I love that you speak about gratitude, growth, and being patient. And you know, we need to go through that refinement. And so often it's uncomfortable. You're looking at everyone else around you and you think, but Lord, why?
Yes.
But it's important because you come out so much greater at the other side.
Yes.
And that's the greater that we get to experience now through Merna. You know, you might have wanted it back then, but maybe you were not ready and you just didn't know that you were not ready.
Exactly.
We are so grateful for what God has done in your life. We've got some messages that have come in. We've got someone is busy investigating you, Merna.
Ooh.
Gail, one of our avid listeners here on Radio Cape Pulpit, she says, Merna Nicholls, I don't find you on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook.
She cannot find you on Facebook. You know what I think, Gail? I think Gail did one L. So it
yes,
is actually two L's.
Yes.
And it's not Y, because Gail said M-Y-R-N-A.
Oh, no, it's M-E-R-N-A.
So it's M-E-R-N-A and it's N-I-C-H-O-L-L.
Yes, yes.
Gail, hopefully that works for
Yes.
you. Musa says, a huge congratulations. Musa says, come through,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Merna. And we've got another avid listener of ours, Martinka Jones, says, this is such an inspiring life story of following the passion the Lord gave you to be used for his glory.
Thank you.
Oh man, it's so good to be having a conversation with Merna, family of Cape Pulpit. Thank you for having this conversation with us as well on our social media. And finally, what's next for Dr. Merna Nicholls? Any performances and projects that we should look out for, especially the one for tonight? Tell us about tonight.
So tonight, I'm so privileged and honored to have my debut performance at the Athletic and Social Club in town. So if you don't have anything to do tonight, pull through, come through. It's going to be an amazing, amazing performance. I'm collaborating with really some of the greatest musicians, not only in Cape Town, but in our country. So do come through. This performance is really just an homage to the ladies in the industry that has inspired me in my journey, but also some original work that will be presented. So do come through. Check on my socials is the link for tickets. It's on Quicket also. You can just go onto Quicket and just search the Merna Nicholls. You'll find it. But also what's next for Dr. Merna Nicholls? releasing my debut album. I'm
Yes.
really wanting to release it in 2026, and I'm just hoping to grow in the industry. I'm really praying and hoping that next year I can be on the stage of the Cape Town International Jazz Festival. I'm pushing
Come
for Joy
on,
of Jazz for
come
next
through.
year. So I've got a couple of things that I'm really working hard towards to make way, but I'm really just wanting to build my voice and have my voice in this industry, and just glorifying God through this journey. But just keep track of me, because there's big things for Dr. Nicholls.
Hey,
There's
yeah,
big
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Big things are ahead. Thank you so much, Merna, for sharing your heart with us, and just for having this really authentic conversation about pursuing what God has laid in you, you know, pursuing the gifts that God has placed in you. It's really inspiring for many people out there, because not everyone is as bold as you, but here you are, fueling us up with that boldness and saying, come on, you can
Yes.
do it, you know. And whatever you do, make sure that you give God the glory.
Always,
So
always.
thank you. Where can we reach you on social media for those that are interested in following Merna?
So on
Dr. Merna?
Facebook, on Facebook, Merna Nicholls, you'll find me. Yes, M-E, not M-Y, M-E-R-N-A, Nicll. The same on Instagram. I'm also Merna Nicholls. So Merna_Nicholls, you'll find me there. Even on TikTok, you'll find me. I am musician_Merna Nicholls. You'll find me there. So yeah, if you just pop in Merna Nicholls on Google or wherever, I will pop up. And then, yes, please do follow. And that's where you can track all my doings.
She's there. Let's follow this beautiful journey as it unfolds, as Merna becomes everything that God has intended for her to be. May God continue to grow you. May you continue to extend your territory and your reach, and may you just be blessed all the days of your life.
Thank
may
you
you
so
experience
much.
those
Thank you,
blessings
thank you.
that Dad spoke about.
Thank you.
So love you, Blue.
Yay!
Great things are coming your way.
Thank you so much.
Blessings, Bernard. Thank you so much for this beautiful